everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Proton Pack Podcast. I'm Kris, and with me always is the King Shark to my Captain Boomerang, Tony. Say hey, Tone.
Hi, I'm just King Shark talk. I'm just going to wave like the trailer. Yeah, so if you're watching, I'm waving to you. Hi, guys. We're back.
We
didn't even make you wait that long. We just like 2 weeks this time
versus
a month.
No, 2 weeks. It's all good.
2 weeks is good. It is all good. It's good to be back, man.
Well, we've got a lot to cover. You know, we had the DC Fandome this weekend, and so the bulk of our show is going to be DC related. Yeah, there'll be a few little snippets here and there of other things, but in the meantime, we'll cover some DC stuff. But before we get there, let's go ahead and head into our shameless plugs. Yep, Tony's got to push the button.
Yep, but it pressed. That's
that would not be the.
That's what it said it was. Let's try that again. It's not even early morning for this. Here we go. Shameless plug time.
Shameless plug time.
Better than these hills that Juan Valdez and his trusty goat gather coffee beans every morning. Money is cool.
Money is cool.
It is cool, and it's
glad that finally
classic. Yeah. I was like, why is it just playing the $1 Million Man's theme song? So,
oh well. In any case, with shameless plugs as we do each and every week, each week that we do a show, our first one is Rough Riders. Roughriders.org is a dog rescue nonprofit, 501c3. What we do is we pull dogs from the rural kill shelters, that would be Battle Mountain, Winnemucca, out in the no man's land of Nevada, bring the dogs back here, find them homes. Actually, we work with local dog rescues and shelters to find them homes, give them a second chance at life. If you are interested in learning more about what we do or how you can donate, just head over to roughriders.org. That's RUFF Riders.org, or on Facebook at Rough Riders Saves. Now, that's my shameless plug. What about yours, Tony? You do a little thing every Sunday night.
I do every Sunday night. That one's been really consistent. That would be Pop Culture Kaboom with Jimmy Jones. Everything you want, everything you need. Pop Culture Kaboom is the show to go to. Jimmy does a really great job of sharing the latest news. He's faster than I am sharing stuff on the Proton Pack. I'm pretty good, but he's really quick about getting a lot of stuff out. I do the movie segments with him, and now that movies are going down, they just this last week came back in action. They're starting to roll out again, so we can cover some more actual movies versus a lot of direct on demand. I've watched a lot of crappy trailers this last 5 months, but nonetheless, I'm very familiar with movies I normally would not be. So tune in every Sunday night, and that is 8:40 Pacific time. Or sorry, 7:40 Pacific time, 8:40
your time,
Mountain time. Yeah, so I jump on there. I do about a 20-minute segment with Jimmy. We talk movies, discuss, if we have time, we discuss whatever else is going on in the pop culture world. And yeah, it's a real good show. If you're in Carson City, that's 95. It's KNVC 94. I don't have my cheat sheet for 94.5 KNVC. Just go to knvc.org. Don't worry about the radio station. knvc.org. Click the link. Follow Pop Culture Kaboom and Jimmy Jones. That's the plug.
KNVC.
KNVC. I just got the number call mixed up for some reason.
That's all right. You're allowed to be dyslexic every once in a while.
Usually I got a little, usually I have a little cheat just in case. I didn't have it up.
The final shameless plug is a little show that Tony and I do each and every day on the America Matters Media Network. It is on local radio, but more importantly, we stream it not only here on Facebook and on YouTube, but we also podcast as well. It is the Christian Phoenix Radio Show. We cover a few of the things that we talk about here, but it's a little bit more of a variety show. We've got reoccurring segments, whether it's daily or weekly, and then come up with fun call-in topics. And of course, we always invite people to be a part of the show, whether they are commenting on our Facebook page or calling in on the Phoenix line, which is 24-hour a day, 7-day-a-week voicemail line that lets people interact. And we've got our call-in live topics as well. That's the Christian Phoenix Radio Show. Best place to head to for that would be facebook.com/Christian Phoenix Radio. And as I always say, that's Christian with a K, Phoenix with an F, radio, of course, with an R.
Yeah. And a fun show. So thank you for all the support on there. But yeah, that's the shameless plug time. Now, I guess you just tell me when.
Let's head on into our TV news.
Okay, this will really work, I promise.
Okay. Promise. Promise.
Bazinga.
Promise. Oh, no.
The cream of the crop.
Hey, baby.
Let's go, Bob.
Excellent.
Hail to the king, baby.
Boom shakalaka.
All right. First up in TV news, and I mentioned there's going to be a very DC heavy show. Titans Season 3 adds 3 very big name characters, namely Red Hood, Barbara Gordon, and the Scarecrow. Now, for me, Titans is a show that I would love to be able to watch. Unfortunately, I don't have DC Universe, and it hasn't made its way to HBO Max yet. But with that being said, DC Universe's Titans is returning for a 3rd season, and fans got their first taste of what the future holds for the series at DC Fandome. Titans will undergo a major shift in location for Season 3 as the team heads to Gotham City and encounters several major Batman characters. Curran Walters will return as Jason Todd, though he won't be wearing the Robin costume this time around. Instead, Jason will become the Red Hood, suggesting he'll have had his fateful run-in with the Joker at some point between Season 2 and Season 3. Season 2 already flirted with the possibility of killing Jason, even invoking the infamous 1-900 poll that led to Jason's death in the comics, but the character was ultimately spared and returned to his normal duties as Batman's sidekick at the end of the season. Titans Season 3 will also include Barbara Gordon, though the role has yet to be cast. In the universe, Barbara has given up the mantle of Batgirl in favor of replacing her father as commissioner of the GCPD. Needless to say, she's not thrilled about being reunited with Dick Grayson and having the Titans stirring up trouble in the city. Speaking of trouble, it appears that Scarecrow will be one of the major villains for Season 2. This role is also yet to be cast, but we know that Dr. Jonathan Crane will take on Hannibal Lecter-esque role as an Arkham Asylum inmate who consults on difficult cases for the GCPD. It's probably safe to assume Crane will escape and resume tormenting the city with fear gas before Season 3 ends. And we wouldn't be surprised to see Ian Glenn reprise his role as Bruce Wayne either. So, Tony, I know you're in the same boat as I am, having not seen Titans yet. I mean, it sounds like a hell of a show that I really want to check out, but it looks like it's only a matter of time before it makes its way over to HBO Max.
Yeah, once it's on HBO Max, I'll be able to play catch-up on it. I need more days like today to not be working on a project or something and actually sit down and catch up on stuff. So, yeah, the show looks great. I know when we saw trailers a few years ago for Season 1, it looked really gritty and dark, and it was like, oh, all right, that looks pretty dang cool. But then you had to have the DC online, and we've talked about that before, where it's like, yeah, let's get it, let's see what's going on. But the problem is, it's hard to find a device to stream it on, well, except the PS4 and the Xbox One. But yeah, it just wasn't a popular service. But since that's going to be disbanding and all the DC properties will be going to HBO Max, I think it's a much better way, and I look forward to catching up on that show. Yeah,
they say 2021, so I'm hoping it's right after the beginning of the year, but still a long ways to wait. So, oh well, we do what we can.
Absolutely.
Something else we'll be waiting for is the other HBO Max series that revolves around the Matt Reeves Gotham City. So we'll be talking about, Matt Reeves, the Batman, coming up here in the movie segment, but we know that he's developing a TV series specifically for HBO Max. Says that during the panel for the Batman at DC Fandome, director Matt Reeves discussed his upcoming Gotham City TV series, which is coming to HBO Max. During this panel, we also got the Batman movie's first trailer, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. While there was already a TV series that took place in the Cape Crusaders stomping grounds, Fox's Gotham, Reeves, and obviously that's concluded now, Reeves' new show feels more akin to the comic book series Gotham Central by Greg Rucka and Ed Brubaker. He said, I mean, for me, the idea of this was a story in which Gotham has the sort of depths of corruption. And then the idea that we could actually do a series that is going deeper into an aspect of it, which in this case is the corrupt police department and the corrupt inner workings of the city. Reeves is accompanied by a very seasoned writer who is the perfect fit. He said, Terrence Winter is just like an incredible writer. So the idea that we got him to do this, just is literally a dream. Ooh, Reeves is another one of those who adds a lot of extras to the way he talks. Prior to his role on the upcoming series, Winter was a writer on HBO's The Sopranos and Boardwalk Empire, so he's a proven commodity when it comes to writing compelling crime series. Reeves, meanwhile, is best known for directing the second two films in the rebooted Planet of the Apes trilogy, which already has successors planned. He also directed the original Cloverfield, which I didn't realize.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, the HBOmax series will take place before the Batman movie. Again, he says, and the idea is we go back to year one, and year one is the beginning of the emergence, is the first appearance of this masked vigilante that starts to unsettle the city. And you start to see the story through the point of view of these corrupt cops, and one in particular. The story is actually a battle for his soul. Reeves went on to say that corruption in the city goes back for years, and while the show may touch on things we may have seen in the comics in the past, this is something new, and it will get into details that they couldn't get into for the feature film. However, it will probably be quite some time until we get to see this new Gotham TV show, as it's still early in the pre-production phase. So, as far as I understand, the Batman movie is going to be basically Batman Year 2, and this looks to be somewhat of a prequel to that. And knowing that it's on HBO Max, it'll probably have a TVMA, basically an R rating as opposed to Fox's Gotham.
Yeah, this is awesome, and I loved Fox's Gotham. I rave about that show. It was fantastic. You can check that out on Netflix if you haven't seen it. They have all 5 seasons on there. Well worth the watch. This one, I think, reminds me a little bit of kind of a companion show, kind of like what Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was for the Marvel movies. Later, kind of a nice little tie-in. You featured some characters tied in. I could kind of see this going on. I gotta save the Batman stuff for when we get to movies, but right. I think this is a great addition. DC definitely came out this weekend and hit it out of the park with their announcements. On paper, it looks like it's going to deliver. Now it's just actually seeing the product, but I'm very excited for the announcements we have, and this is going to make. This and the acquiring of all DC property to stream on HBO Max now makes that streaming service something to get. Yes. Like before, it just didn't have that punch. Well, here's that punch. So,
well, that's the thing. For a while, they were
great addition.
Yeah, they were talking about getting rid of some movies and then bringing new movies in, and just do the Disney Plus thing. When you've got a movie, keep it there. That's all we ask for.
Yeah, that's it. We'll pay for it. We'll watch it. You don't need to keep cycling stuff.
All right, let's move on with some more DC Fandome reveals. This time, we're headed on into the Speed Force with The Flash. So, revealed during one of the few TV panels for the show, Season 7 of The Flash has a lot going on. Barry is losing his speed and needs to connect to an artificial Speed Force. Iris is dealing with a broken mind. There's also the whole deal with the Mirrorverse and Flash trying to stop the new Mirror Master. Everything is on the line in the latest trailer, which I don't know if you've already posted, Tony, but if not, we will post onto our Facebook page.
Yeah, everything we're talking about today is already on the Proton Pack page, so check it out. Click the link; it's ready to roll.
Very cool. The Flash is one of. CW does the whole Arrowverse really well. Flash is probably one of the better series on there. Now, to be fair, this last season I didn't watch any of the Arrowverse shows, and so I'm a little behind on what's going on. I didn't get a chance to watch the Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover. The only thing I did see was something we're going to talk about here in a second. But so I couldn't tell you what's going on, who the villain was last season. But, this might be a good chance to pick it up again, or at least get caught back up before it debuts later on, which they don't know when it's going to be, but they're speculating January 2021.
Well, it's been going for 7 seasons, so it's doing something right. I got to admit, I have not seen it either. Just based on, I know I don't want to jump ahead, but based on a story we're going to cover here in just a minute or so, it's got me intrigued. I'm very, I don't want to keep saying the word excited, but it's got my interest. It's peaked, and in the sense that I want to go back and I want to see where this all leads to. So
I do too. So one of the biggest revelations, and we're moving on to what I think you were thinking about too. One of the biggest revelations is that DC came out in the DC Fandome early on in the event and basically said that everything that DC does is part of their multiverse. So that's where, Matt Reeves, the Batman, can coexist with Batfleck, the Zack Snyder version of the Batman. And all of that stemmed from the crossover when Ezra Miller showed up on the CW Flash. And so they say DC considers the crossover of Ezra Miller's Flash with the Flash CW show as, quote, the beginning of a whole new generation for crossovers between its movies and TV shows, and now considers all of its filmed properties to be part of multiverse. Speaking during the Multiverse 101 panel at DC Fandome, Arrowverse boss Greg Berlanti explains that the Flash crossover, quote, feels like the beginning of a whole new generation of how we can do these things. Warner Brothers DC film exec Walter Hamada added that moving forward, there's more opportunities for us to do things like this. Hamada then ran through how the Justice League and the Snyder Cut can have their adventures while those same characters can exist in other TV shows and movies without having to worry about continuity. And Tony, did you get a chance to see that little clip of Ezra Miller meeting Grant Gustin's Flash from the CW show?
No, I haven't watched that part. I read the article, but I did not watch the video on it.
You got to watch the video, even if you weren't keeping up. Apparently, that whole scene was basically ad-libbed between the two of them. It's hilarious. Ezra Miller's funny, Grant Gustin's charming, and it was great that they even said that in the Batman versus Superman and Justice League, they never referred to Ezra Miller's Barry Allen as the Flash. He was never given that name, and so it wasn't until he met Grant Gustin's Barry Allen that he picked up the name The Flash.
No, that's awesome. I'm still going to watch it, even though you told me about it and told us about it, but definitely worth watching. I think that's the thing that really excited me is now they've built up like this big universe that obviously flopped in the movies. When it comes to, not financially, it did well financially, but critically just panned and tried to get in the whole Marvel, like we got to build a universe just like Marvel. And they tried to do the Marvel thing. Well, it obviously didn't work for them, but what was working great for them that what originally wasn't working so well for Marvel was the TV properties. Those were doing really well. So now to take what you've already established, link that up with your movies. I think that's a fantastic way to get the excitement. And as these stories keep rolling, I'll chime in more on those bigger announcements that we'll talk about. But I really like the direction DC is taking all this. I think it's smart and it is different from Marvel, and that's what you got to be.
That's exactly. And the other thing is it gives them a chance to retcon and fix some of the things that don't necessarily fit together. And so by doing so, having a multiverse, they can essentially start over in some places. They can continue on with certain series. And it's going to be interesting to see what they do in the future. And it looks like the quality of their products are stepping up ever so much.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think you got a bunch of fans that are, getting as far as writers and directors, and they're fans of the product and they're believing in it. And I like that DC's just kind of like, you know what, we got to try something. Let's take it in that direction versus what the studio thinks it should be. So.
Right. Yeah. They're putting more faith in the creators than, what Warner Brothers saying that they have to do. So I'm excited. And obviously we're going to talk about some of those projects that are exciting and, move on with that. Now, normally at this point in the show, we would be going through the box office report. Well, there really hasn't been much to report lately, even though we're starting to trickle back in there. And I think come the next show, we'll bring that back. What were you going to say, Tom?
I was going to say, spoiler alert, it would have only been 5 movies, but the number one movie was Unhinged with Russell Crowe with $4 million.
A whopping $4 million.
I know it doesn't sound all that great, but, for theaters opening back up, Small victory for Mr. Russell Crowe. Unhinged, #1 movie this week.
So in its place,
I got a sneaky suspicion I know what'll be next week.
I think so too. So in its place, we've been doing a thing that we've been calling Behind the Streams. And this is where each of us take something from one of the different streaming platforms. Could it be a TV show, could be a movie, and talk about something that people may not be aware of. So we're not talking about the super popular projects that are popping up, but something a little off kilter. So Tony, I don't know if you've prepared yours for this week, but I'll go ahead and start with mine, and that gives you a chance to think about it if you hadn't. So something I was telling Tony about and came across on HBOmax is the Harley Quinn animated series. And so prior to it being released on HBOmax in the first 2 full seasons, which I didn't even realize that they had made 2 seasons of, it had only been on DC Universe, which, as we said at the top of the show, neither of us have. But those properties are slowly making their way over to HBOmax. Well, the Harley Quinn animated series, which stars Kaylee Cuoco as the voice of Harley Quinn. You have you have Lake Bell as Poison Ivy, and some great voice actors. I mean, Alan Tudyk does a number of voices, including the Joker. You have, not Jim Rash, but the guy who plays Forky, who does a character named Dr. Psycho, and so many just great things. But the best part about it is a hard R cartoon. Don't show it to your kids, people. Do not show it to your kids. There is cursing, there's violence, there's sexual innuendo. It's not meant for kids. It's definitely made for adults. And I was even telling Tony that if you know about the Batman lore, if you know, if you've been following the comic books, movies, so on and so forth, it makes it that much funnier. It's that much better and well worth a watch. So if you have access to HBO Max or DC Universe, check out the Harley Quinn animated series. I can't get enough of it. I'm about 6 episodes in, and even Jesse enjoys it.
That's good. Hey, Jesse! Yeah, no, that's really good. I haven't, I was going to start today, and I didn't start it, but I'll tell you a show I am watching, but a show I'm about to start, and that's the Netflix video game history series called High Score. That came out last Wednesday. Not had time to watch it. I don't have a lot of time to watch a lot of stuff anymore, which sucks. But that's one I do want to start watching. I've read some reviews. It's getting some mixed reviews, kind of ho-hum. But, like I was telling you last time, I think I said I've been watching a lot of like a YouTube guys like RGT85. He updates his video game channel every day, so I get a lot of video game news through that. Obviously, I watch a lot of YouTube, a lot for the show, not just our show, but for the Phoenix show, and try to get some information for that. But the one show that I am watching that I'm back and I have watched, the second episode just came out, is Hard Knocks. That's back. Okay. And it's the Los Angeles Rams and Los Angeles Chargers. So it's just called Hard Knocks Los Angeles. Just covers both teams, and obviously there'll be no preseasons. I don't know how the cuts are going to go. Those are always the dramatic parts.
Right.
But it is cool to see inside the world of Los Angeles Chargers coach Anthony Lynn, and kind of how they just got Justin Herbert up from Oregon, how he's fitting in with Tyrod Taylor now that Phillip Rivers is gone, and then looking at the Rams, Jared Goff and all the other players on there. It's cool to see 2 different takes. So they've got 2 teams, so you're learning a lot of different characters on there, and I'm excited to see what episode 2. I'll be watching that this evening, probably after the show. But that's the one I'm watching. So if you're a sports fan or an NFL fan, Hard Knocks is back. Hard Knocks Los Angeles. Again, HBO Max, that's where you'll catch it, or if you have HBO. So
very cool. Yeah, that's I love the Hard Knocks series. It is a show that I typically watch when Jessie goes out to work, but since she's been confined to home, she's not the biggest football fan, so unfortunately I've been a little behind on some of the sports stuff because it's hard to watch, and we try to watch things that we both want to watch when we're together.
Well, at least she likes the Harley Quinn, so that's pretty damn cool. So it's a win for you, man. So
absolutely.
Kudos.
All right, and then the other thing we do is we talk about Blu-ray releases. These are home video releases that obviously they're coming out in physical media, but you can also get them anywhere online that you can download. And so let's go ahead and talk about what's coming out tomorrow.
Did you say physical?
Physical.
Since when did you become the physical type?
Thanks, Biff. All right.
Yeah.
So these are all coming out tomorrow. Again, nothing to write home about. You know, there hasn't been a ton of movies out in theaters, which means a couple months down the line, not a lot of things coming out on, Blu-ray. But we were talking The Flash Season 7. Well, if you want to get caught up on Flash Season 6, that's out tomorrow on Blu-ray. There's a movie I didn't even realize they made a second one of, Deep Blue Sea 3. Did you know they made a Deep Blue Sea 2?
No. I liked the first one.
I did too.
That was a good movie.
Oh, especially Samuel L. Jackson's death scene.
Yeah, out of nowhere. He was doing his little monologue and then done. Yeah. Didn't know that there was a third, but okay.
Also coming out is The King of Staten Island, and that is from the director of Trainwreck and stars
Pete Davidson.
Ugh. I can't stand Pete Davidson. I think he's the least funny part of SNL. His name's going to come up here in a little bit later as well, but this movie apparently got pretty decent reviews.
Your favorite guy, baby. Yeah.
So
I don't.
Oh.
But yeah, I've heard King of Staten Island was actually pretty good. It's like a touching father story. But I'm with you. He's one of those actors. We've covered on the Phoenix show, like one of the topics was, calling topic was, what actor just drives you nuts where you just can't get through? Like,
right.
It's tough. Like, so he's your Kevin James. Like, Kevin James for me, so many people find him funny, and I want to. He seems like a likable dude. I hate his stuff. I hate it.
Yeah. Well,
I just don't like it. I don't know why. I wish I could. I mean, I like that kind of humor. It just doesn't work for me. I don't know why.
That's all right.
I'm sure he would hate mine too, in all fairness, and that's cool.
There you go.
I respect that.
Yeah. We all have to have at least one, right?
Yeah, and I don't hate him as a person, but I just don't like his stuff in general.
Fair enough. Moving on with Blu-ray releases, Tales from the Dark Side, the movie, collector's edition.
Tales from the Dark Side.
The funny thing is, Tales from the Dark Side has nothing to do with Tales from the Crypt.
With Tales from the Crypt, nope.
I've seen the movie.
Actually,
I couldn't remember.
I have too.
I don't remember the movie.
It was cheesy. I watched it as a kid. I vaguely remember. It didn't give me nightmares, so it didn't do its job.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. And then another horror movie, The House by the Cemetery, looks like a low-budget, probably pretty terrible horror movie.
Yep, I would imagine that's going to be something I'm covering on Pop Culture Kaboom this week.
There you go.
The House by the Cemetery.
Hey, it couldn't be any worse than House of the Dead, the movie. You remember that?
Oh yeah, yeah. Where it was so cheap, they ran out of money. They just started adding the scenes of the video game in there during the shooting scenes.
And when somebody would die,
like they all shoot like in the lake,
right? When somebody died, they did that thing where the camera spun around them, and
you're dead.
That was a terrible movie. All right,
that was a really bad movie. Really bad movie.
Speaking of movies, let's go ahead and move on to movie news. Tony, go ahead and hit the button.
You're the keymaster.
Back it up, fuzzball.
We came, we saw, we kicked it down.
This baby hit 88 miles per hour. They gotta see some serious shit.
Oddly enough, no Back to the Future news this week. Seems to be a title that comes up, but we're continuing on with the DC news.
Yeah, I was going to say, we did get Biff and Doc's voice in this episode, so there is some Back to the Future, and if I just slightly turn my head, and if you look about right there, there's some Back to the Future swag, so there you go.
What more could you ask for? Well,
it's in the episode, man.
Yep. So, DC Fandome.
Hey, Scott!
Again, a lot of really neat reveals, but I think one of the most anticipated was the talk of Zack Snyder's, or the Justice League, the Snyder Cut. So Zack Snyder had revealed at DC Fandome that the Snyder Cut of Justice League will actually be released as a multi-part series cut into television show-like chunks, basically an hour apiece, the entire thing being a 4-hour-long movie. As part of the Snyder Cut panel, director Zack Snyder explained that this version of the movie will be delivered in 4 parts, as I mentioned, and that there will also be a way to watch the entire thing as a whole film, in case you want to kill a Saturday. The Snyder Cut of the Justice League will be available on HBO Max, and international distribution plans are currently being worked out for fans outside of the U.S. Also part of the Snyder Cut panel at DC Fandome, Zack Snyder also suggested that new scenes featuring The Flash may involve time travel. So, Tony, I assume you got a chance to watch the new Snyder Cut trailer. What was your take on it?
I could have done without the Hallelujah music. It didn't really excite me with that. I could have skipped that part. And if I would have, known more what was going on, it just looked like they added some cooler shots and stuff. And I think the only way you're really going to enjoy this is you have to be a diehard DC fan. Like, you have to know every little thing about the DC universe, or at least be super familiar with it. I like that they're adding Darkseid to it and Steppenwolf, but you're not adding. There's no like real new. They're not reshooting anything to tie them in. They're just putting them in there to put them in there. It's what I kind of feel like. Now, I do like that they're going to do it between just 4 miniseries. I mean, I hope they just release it kind of all at the same time. I don't think it needs to be a weekly kind of thing to get you to come back, because you've seen the movie. You know how it goes, and it'll be interesting to see what they change. But unfortunately, unless they were reshooting this completely and redoing it, I don't have the utmost excitement about it, to be honest with you.
I am looking forward to this.
I applaud it. Yeah. I applaud it, but
more so than the Joss Whedon one. Obviously they filmed most of it with Zack Snyder. Joss Whedon came in and did reshoots and edited it together to sort of make it his own, whereas this one seems like it's truly a Zack Snyder project, with those slow-mo shots and the cinematography that we really know from Zack Snyder. They also retconned and they changed the design of Steppenwolf. I don't know if you noticed that. He looks less like a goblin and more like the Annihilator from the first Thor movie.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, looks like they kind of borrowed a little bit there.
Yep. And then the addition of Doomsday, which is not Doomsday, but Darkseid, which is cool.
It's the DC version, right?
Well, the reason I said Doomsday is because the model, what he looks like, it looks eerily close to the Doomsday CG character that was in Batman v Superman. So I'm not thrilled about the way that Darkseid looks, just because he looks so close to the way Doomsday did.
Yeah, it's cool that they add it. Like I said, you got to be a real diehard to appreciate it, or not appreciate it, but to really be into it. It'd be kind of like if they went back and redid the X-Men movies, but they kept kind of the same and then added stuff that should have been in there. I'd probably watch it, but it seems kind of pointless. Like, it's happened. Yeah. Maybe just you could try to tell that story again down the line.
Well, the good news is we don't have to pay anything extra. So if you have HBOmax, come 2021, they haven't released the actual release date yet, but it won't cost you anything to see it. So at least there's that.
Like on a side note, I wish this is what they would have done with Netflix's Motley Crue: The Dirt. Instead of just one crumpled movie. I wish it would have been like 4 or 5 chapters through their lives. It could have been an hour long and just made it a little mini docuseries. I would have loved that versus the actual movie.
Yeah. Well, speaking, because
if you listen to the Phoenix Show, words are hard.
Oh no,
they're hard, little friend.
Well, I just kicked my camera on accident, so let's see if I can adjust it. There we go. All right.
Don't kick at that camera, friend.
Speaking of the Snyderverse, so that's what I'm calling the characters that we know from Zack Snyder. While there wasn't a panel for it, Aquaman 2 had a brief appearance at DC Fandome with director James Wan and Aquaman 1 star Patrick Wilson reminiscing on the production of the original film and teasing what's to come in the sequel, which is set for a 2022 release. Though the sequel hasn't started filming, Wan teased a bit about what viewers can expect in Aquaman 2, which we recently learned will have a little bit more of Wan's knack for horror. And we know that he was working on that horror series that was based off of, what were they called? Not The Brood or The Depth. It's going to bug me now. In any case, I continue on. Wan described the sequel as a little bit more serious, a little more relevant in the world we're living in today. And as for Wilson's hopes, he said he wanted to see new worlds, citing Wan's creativity in creating new locales for his films to take viewers. Wan suggested Wilson's hopes will be answered in the sequel, which will feature Ocean Master, Wilson's character, in some fashion, though the two declined to give any plot details. We've recently learned, though, about some of the comics inspiration Aquaman 2 will pull from, as well as Wilson's past comments on not expecting Ocean Master to be the sequel's main villain, which I sort of expected. Are you looking forward to Aquaman 2? Do you think it could do with a more serious tone and less humor, or do you think that's what made Aquaman 1 what it was?
Yeah, it's what made 1 what it was. Jason Momoa, you just let him be him. I thought his little quips and stuff was fun because Aquaman wasn't a bad movie. The only bitching and griping I have of it was how crappy the CGI was underwater. I thought that was
same complaint here.
Well, yeah, I can say this because we're not on the radio. It was shitty.
Yep.
It just looked awful on that. And that was my only complaint. Otherwise, it was a well done movie. It was good. And I tried to look up James Wan for you for horror, but I just kept getting The Conjuring. I know that's not what you were looking for, but
yeah. He's the guy
that's
behind,
all I kept bringing up.
Yeah, he's the guy behind The Conjuring. Also did a couple of the Saw movies. But yeah, the article doesn't say exactly what they're called.
If he wanted to do horror, maybe he should have got in on the New Mutants.
Right.
Just a thought. I just don't know. We'll see how that does when that comes out. But yeah. You might have the chops in horror movies, but Aquaman's not a horror movie. You could maybe bring some, like Sam Raimi. Sam Raimi was great with horror movies, and he did Spider-Man. They were fantastic. Well, the first two. They're good. You can tell the studio definitely controlled the narrative on that bad boy. But I liked his little nods to the Evil Dead and little things. And I think it's okay to do that stuff. Just make the CGI better. That's all I ask.
I agree there. The other thing that bugged me was the de-aging of Tamora Morrison and who played his mom?
Well, I was gonna say Renee. It was Nicole Kidman.
Nicole Kidman, yeah. The de-aging didn't look great in there.
No, especially her just at the end. I'm here at the end of the dock. Yeah.
Yeah, Marvel definitely has cornered the market on that technology.
Oh, yeah, they've done great with the de-aging. Shoot, you look at, what they did with Michael Douglas, Michelle Pfeiffer, a younger Robert Downey Jr. I mean, it's startling how good that is.
Yeah.
So
it's funny that you say that, and slight side tangent. So Jesse and I watched Gemini Man the other day with Will Smith.
Okay.
That de-aging was terrible. Oh, God, it was bad.
Human killing humans. You didn't like the young Fresh Prince battling Mike Lowry?
Well, it was fun seeing them fight each other. The fight sequences were cool, but the de-aging for Will Smith was terrible. It looked like he had a fat lip the whole time, and I don't know, it was just weird.
Yeah, it was a little off for sure. Like in just brief glimpses, it looked fine. Mm-hmm. Like it looked really good, like for trailer purposes. But yeah, the more they're face to face, the more it was a little iffy,
a little off-putting,
for sure. Yeah, and it's kind of hard. It's kind of the thing. Once you see it done correctly, a la Marvel or a Star Wars, then you see it done elsewhere. You're kind of like, not very good.
Not so much. But I digress. Let's get back to our regularly scheduled program and move on from Aquaman to another character we're familiar with, a movie that I enjoy.
Raptor shirt.
So Shazam! You have to say it. You have to say it that way. because of the exclamation.
Shazam!
Yep. So Shazam stars Zachary Levi, Asher Angel, Jack Dylan Grazer, and others were on hand at the DC Fandome to tease what's in store for Shazam 2. There was no exclamation mark, so I didn't have to do it that way. While they weren't able to reveal much about the sequel, they did reveal the official title. Shazam 2 will be called Shazam! Fury of the Gods. That suggests we'll be learning much more about the 6 gods who bestowed their powers on young Billy Batson. Amusingly, comedian Sinbad also stopped by the panel to poke fun at the tendency for people to confuse Shazam with 1996's Kazam. Sinbad seemed to tease an actual role in Fury of the Gods, though we're not entirely sure whether he was joking. I enjoyed the hell out of Shazam! What about you, Tone?
Oh, I loved it. I thought it was a fun movie. It was enjoyable. Like, when it comes to the DC movies, once they broke away from the whole DC universe, like trying to tie everything together, and they just gave Aquaman his own movie and Wonder Woman her own movie and Shazam, just an obscure character, his own movie, everything worked. Everything was good. They were great. They weren't trying to tie into some crappy force-fed Avengers-like thing, well, Justice League in this case, but it just didn't feel forced. Like they actually got to tell their own story. They got to be their own creativity, and Shazam was super well cast. I enjoyed it. Great comedy in it.
Yeah. I kind of equate it to what Ant-Man was for Marvel. A lot of good comedy and action, and a little bit of a departure from, the more, rigid and darker stuff that they did.
Yeah, I really liked it. It was a very enjoyable DC movie for sure.
Yep.
And I you can definitely count me in. As long as I'm around, I will see the second.
So while we didn't get much about that, what we did get was a character who, I don't know if he's going to be an anti-hero or what, but a film project that they've been talking about forever that The Rock, Dwayne Johnson, has been tied to. So DC Fandome revealed the first details about Dwayne Johnson's long-awaited Black Adam movie adaptation, including that members of the Justice Society of America, Johnson's eponymous Black Adam, will be facing off against. It was reported earlier this year that the Justice Society of America will be appearing in Black Adam after it was announced that Noah Centineo was cast as Atom Smasher. During Fandome, Johnson revealed who else in the JSA will appear in Black Adam. Alongside Atom Smasher, the JSA roster will include Hawkman, Dr. Fate, and Cyclone. Johnson didn't announce who was cast in these roles, so expect more news on that at a later time. Now, Tony, did you watch the little teaser trailer that they...
I did, like the animated stop-motion one.
Yeah, and obviously, they haven't started filming it yet. They wanted to put something together. They got some great voiceover from Dwayne Johnson, and it tells a little bit about the backstory of who Black Adam is, how he came to be, and what we're going to see him doing. And, of course, he's part of the Shazam universe, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see the two of them facing off and maybe in Shazam 3.
Yeah, I think that would be awesome. Hell of a good casting. The Rock doesn't do too many things wrong, so I'm very excited. And I wouldn't be surprised if you saw Kevin Hart cast in this movie in some role. I'm just saying that they're like, that's his buddy. He's in a lot of stuff. But I think it's awesome to see him in there. I mean, he's well built for it. His acting chops are fantastic. He's got the comedy, the dramatics, he's the total package, man. So
and it's going to be interesting to see how a villain carries an entire movie by himself. Again, is he an anti-hero like Venom? How's that going to be when he's fighting the good guys in the JSA? And some lesser known DC characters that, if you don't know DC, most people don't know who Hawkman, Dr. Fate, or Cyclone are, but for a DC fan, that's exciting.
Yeah, it's great, man. And plus, this throws back to Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's early stuff. I mean, being a former WWE/F wrestler, whatever you want to call it nowadays. But, he started out as, I think he was a good guy, then he was a heel, so he's a bad guy. So, and that's the thing. Sometimes when you're a cool heel, people follow you. And I think with people loving who he is, they're going to get behind him. Yeah. Even if they're supposed to boo him, they're going to eventually he's going to be such a cool villain that you're going to be like, okay, I could get behind that dude.
Totally. I'm looking forward to it.
He's a great pick for it.
Yeah. Boy, I'm just looking through. It doesn't say when they expect it to go into production, let alone when it's going to be released, but we know it is at least on the horizon.
That's good. Hey, it's going to happen.
Yep.
The Rock, a busy man. That's for dang sure.
Now, while that is a little ways off, we know one of the movies we're going to get sooner rather than later. They finished principal photography. They're working on editing and the special effects right now. A movie I've been excited about, The Suicide Squad, directed by James Gunn. Yes, the same
As
James...
the nerd world turns, it's a James Gunn story on the Proton Pack Podcast.
We spent a lot of time talking about James Gunn in the early episodes of the Proton Pack.
Like a friend of the show.
Yeah. Basically, his problems with Marvel. He left, picked up by DC. Now he's back with Marvel again, doing Guardians 3. But we finally got a sense of who's playing who in the Suicide Squad. So, director James Gunn unveiled the cast of the Suicide Squad at DC Fandome, officially revealing which DC Comics characters and the actors playing them are on the team's roster in this follow-up to the 2016 film. While we knew Harley Quinn, Margot Robbie, Amanda Waller, played by Viola Davis, Rick Flag by Joel Kinnaman, and Captain Boomerang by Jai Courtney were all back for the sequel, the rest of the characters hadn't been confirmed or even disclosed before Saturday's panel. It should be noted, though, that the panel who Taika Waititi is playing in the Suicide Squad, but we have a few theories. I don't think that sentence was properly written, but I didn't even know he was in the movie.
No, if I had to guess which character he is, I think it's the Shark Man. Is it Shark Man?
I think he's probably the voice of King Shark, because they did reveal
King Shark, yeah,
who was going to be in the mocap suit, but not who was going to be doing the voice. So that's my
I noticed guess. Like during the trailer, they announced all the names, but King Shark did not have a name attached to him.
Yep.
Other than it just said King Shark.
So for every badass new character in the mix, though, there are also several wacky inclusions, D-listers who are likely to serve as darkly humorous cannon fodder in an action film where the protagonists are, by their very nature, expendable. We now know Idris Elba is playing Bloodsport, Nathan Fillion is TDK, and John Cena is Peacemaker. But there are even...
You can't see me!
There are even more obscure characters in the cast list. So here's a breakdown of the huge cast. So you have, again, Idris Elba as Bloodsport, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn, John Cena, Peacemaker, Viola Davis as Amanda Waller, Jai Courtney, Captain Boomerang, Joel Kinnaman, Rick Flag, David Dastmalchian is Polka Dot Man. You'll remember him from Ant-Man, the Baba Yaga. You have Daniela.
Oh, that is Baba Yaga.
It
okay,
is.
Cool. I didn't know who that was. All right.
Daniela McQuire is Ratcatcher 2. I wonder if they explain what happened to Ratcatcher 1. Steve Agee is King Shark in the mocap suit. He's one of those faces you would recognize, but name obviously doesn't ring a bell.
No.
The original Rocket Raccoon, Sean Gunn, is Weasel. And I don't know if you saw just that quick clip of Weasel licking the glass in the trailer.
Yeah.
That looks weird.
I was like, yeah, it does, definitely. Well, and it's good that he gets to be a part of his brother's movie here, too.
Yep.
So that's awesome.
Flula Borg, who's hilarious, he's a German actor, is Javelin. Nathan Fillion is TDK. You have former Doctor Who Peter Capaldi as the Thinker, Pete Davidson as Blackguard, Alice Braga as Sol Soria, Mei Ling Ing as Mongal, Michael Rooker's back. He's a good friend of James Gunn.
Chocolate? Yeah, would you like a chocolate-covered pretzel? Yondu.
He plays Savant. You have Storm Reed playing Tyla, Bloodsport's daughter. Jennifer Holland, Amelia Harcourt, Joaquin Casio, General Mateo Suarez, Tanisha Kajisi as Flo Crawley, and Juan Diego Bota as Luna. So,
well say on those last ones, man. I'd have flipped the hell out of those.
I think I got close. I don't know if I got it exactly right, but
I'll take it. Sounded good.
But I'm pretty sure Tony has already posted the not only the character reveal trailer, but also the behind-the-scenes trailer as well on our Facebook page.
Yeah, you're on there. Check them out. You guys got to watch it. This This is going to be a lot different than the last Suicide Squad. And man, I'm excited for this one.
I am too.
This one looks awesome. I'm hoping that Lacey chimes in here. Lacey, I got to know if you're still watching. How do you feel about your Joker not being in this one? I know how we feel.
I'm okay with it.
How do you feel, my friend? Just kidding.
Well, the funny thing is,
I'm just really happy that it's done by James Gunn, and it looks flipping cool.
Yeah. Before we start getting into the Harley Quinn cartoon series, we watch Birds of Prey, and it's they made a lot of effort to keep Jared Leto's Joker out of that, which I appreciate.
She said it's effing stupid. She did chime in. I know you like the Joker, but if you take out the Joker part, are you at least excited that it's going to come out? Like, did you watch the trailer? Do you like it? Let us know.
Yeah, and not just
She
directed
said she's excited. She's excited for Pete Davidson.
Oh.
We'll see what he does, man. I'm kind of excited for John Cena, the douchey Captain America character, as he describes it in that behind the scenes one.
Yeah, that's pretty funny.
Oh, she's saying very excited.
Okay.
So.
All right. And then moving on to...
I'm actually taking digs at you now.
Moving on to probably the biggest thing to come out of DC Fandome. I think it's the thing that most people were looking forward to on the movie side of things. We'll get to video games here in a little bit. But
video games?
Matt Reeves and Robert Pattinson's The Batman dropped a trailer, and again, I'm sure Tony's already posted it, but says on here, well, no one can say that DC Fandome didn't go out with a bang, with director Matt Reeves using the final panel of the night to do something no one expected going in, dropping a full trailer for his year 2 saga of the Caped Crusader, The Batman. While some of its thunder was stolen by an image leak earlier that day, then had some tweeting emo Batman after the full trailer dropped, I don't think anyone had that particular term on their lips. While you can see the full thing above, and obviously I'm reading this from an article, some things to note: only 25% of the movie's been shot so far, so what you see is only just a small bit of what they have. The Batman suit, I expected to be a little more technological, something akin to the Arkham series video games. Whereas, I don't know about you, Tony, but in the trailer, it kind of looked like one of those muscle costumes that little kid, my boys have one upstairs that it looks like he put on. I don't know if I was totally feeling that. We get a sense of the Riddler, even though he doesn't really look like the Riddler. He's got a bunch of duct tape around his face. And then the shocker was Colin Farrell as the Penguin. He put on 80 pounds, and I had no idea that was him until much later on.
Until you said, now that's not a fat suit he's wearing, right?
No, that's
he really
him.
Got fat for it.
That is him, yeah. So, Tony, what was your take from the Batman trailer?
Well, I am for DC. I'm definitely Batman's my favorite of it. Mm-hmm. I love the Batman movies, even the bad ones. I have a special place where I definitely like. I try to find the good and the bad. I know there's some better than others, But when I first heard that Robert Pattinson was taking over as Batman, I was a little disappointed. I'm not going to lie. Because I associate with him as Edward from the Twilight stuff. And it's hard. He's a vampire. He's already, I guess, kind of played a bat, right? He's a vampire. Right. So I'm watching it, and I don't know if I'm totally sold on him in the bat costume. I like the scene where he was just straight kicking ass and fighting. Yes. I really dug that. The fighting, it looks good. I like that Matt Reeves is taking kind of a different approach. He's not making it very campy, kind of like the Batman Forever or Batman and Robin. The Riddler wasn't over the top with the orange hair and stuff. But, like you said, you don't get to see much of him in the trailer. I didn't even know that was Colin Farrell till you told me. But, adding the Penguin in there, and, you see, I always love seeing different takes on these characters. I mean, from the TV show Gotham, seeing how they had people do that. But in this trailer, after I watched it, man, I was pretty impressed with it. It looked pretty cool. I liked when he grabbed him, and of course, the old famous tie-in to every Batman movie. Who are you? I'm Vengeance. I guess he couldn't say I'm Batman, you know. Like,
I mean, he could have, but
he could have. But yeah, Keaton and Bale did. But you know, actually, I think Clooney even did too.
Yeah.
He did. But nonetheless, the only thing two gripes. It looks good.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely am going to see it. I like the logo of the Batman. I'm excited to see more. For being 25%, I'm very impressed with what little they have to work with. They made it look like a full-blown, huge trailer. You're right, Batman suit. He looks a little tiny for the Batman character.
He kind of does.
Just it's kind of like me strapping on the bat suit and the cowl and going, "I'm Batman." Like, dude. Like, I didn't put out the guns for nothing, man. Like, they're not here. They don't exist. And then the emo part really screams Spider-Man 3 to me at the end, man. Even before the memes, before I saw the memes, man, I was like, holy crap, that kind of looked like Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man 3.
Yeah. Like,
just the last emo shot. But that was my take. All in all, it's going to develop well. I have a good feeling it's in good hands. And, you know, I think as we see newer trailers when it comes out, it's going to impress. But right now, those would be my little gripes. How about you?
So, I mean, addressing the emo side of things, this is the one thing that this movie's done that none of the other Batman movies have done before. When Robert Pattinson takes off the cowl as Batman, he's wearing the black eye makeup. Well, if you watch any of the other Batman movies, they're all wearing the black eye makeup when they've got the cowl on. But as soon as they take it off, that black eye makeup magically disappears. They never address it.
Good catch, man. Good catch.
So in this case, that's what makes it, gives it that emo feeling that, he's wearing black eye makeup because that's what he does as Batman. My concern is that this might be too grounded in reality. So, the Christopher Nolan Batmans were very much like a real world Batman. There was nothing metaphysical about it. There was nothing, over the top. It was all, if it took place in the real world, which I have a feeling that this is trying to do, though it'd be great if they had some of the, villains with superpowers and, Poison Ivy or even Clayface. I would love to see Clayface in...
you have never seen Clayface in any of them.
In a Batman movie. So maybe they'll bridge that gap. Obviously, only 25% has been shot so far.
Yeah.
But, that's my takeaway.
And even jumping ahead, Lacey chimed in and said she hopes that they have Johnny Depp play the Joker because he was linked to playing the Joker in the Batman. Obviously, I don't think the Joker will be in this first one.
I don't think he will either. I mean, I would say he probably won't even be in the second one, just because we've seen the Joker in so many Batman movies that save it for the third. The other thing I'd like to see is in a movie a true representation of Robin, not the
not Chris O'Donnell.
Chris O'Donnell, no, that was terrible, and not Joseph Gordon-Levitt, who was kind of Robin.
Kind of, at the end, he's like, "Yeah, my name's Robin."
Yeah, I'd like to see, maybe in the second movie him take on Robin as his ward and do a good job with it. Nobody's sort of approached that since the Chris O'Donnell version, which I see why they're staying away from it, but we'll see. Yeah,
at least Chris O'Donnell in the third one, Batman Forever, at least he was trying, they put that out, but Batman wasn't having any of that. Wasn't until the fourth one where he full on had him and Batgirl, and then that was just cheesy.
Oh, we 20-minute ruled that the other night. We tried watching
Batman
and Robin, and it was so bad.
Yeah, Vudu has a deal right now. You could buy all 4 of them in 4K for $20, and I kind of want to do it just so I could have Batman 1 and Returns, because they're both $15 a pop in 4K. So for $20 you can get all 4, but I just don't know if I'd watch the other 2 because the other 2 are.
And I don't know if we've
Batman Forever's not the worst, but
Right.
it ain't that great.
I don't know if we've talked about it on here, but apparently there is like a 3 or 4 hour Schumacher cut of Batman Forever that exists somewhere. Maybe something we don't need to see.
No, we don't need any more of that.
All right.
It was terrible. It was actually pretty bad. The more I'm like reminiscing in my head, the more I'm realizing that movie was a pile of crap.
All right, let's move on temporarily away from DC Fandome with a little bit of Star Wars news. So Lucasfilm president Kathleen Kennedy recently spoke about the future of the Star Wars franchise now that the 9-part Skywalker saga is complete. With creator George Lucas's original story, which had been the focus for most of the company's creative energy for so long, finally complete, Kennedy now says, "We're taking a step back." Speaking to the Wrap, Kennedy explained that stories have been told within the universe over the last 40-odd years, and there's now the realization that this is a mythology that actually spans about 25,000 years. When you really start to look at all the different stories that have been told, whether in the books or the video games. We just need the time to step back and really absorb what George had created, she continued, and then start to think about where things might go. That's what we've been doing, and we've been having a great deal of fun doing it and meeting with lots of different filmmakers and talent. There's so many fans out there and so many filmmakers that have been influenced by Star Wars for so long that it's a fantastic opportunity to get a sense of who wants to be part of this. So that's what we've been doing. I don't know about you, Tone, or if you get the sense that they're trying to distance themselves from the most recent trilogy, if Kathleen Kennedy keeps second guessing herself. What they've been doing on the TV side of things has been great with The Mandalorian, but we know Taika Waititi's connected to a movie or a series of movies. Rian Johnson is still connected to a series of movies, and they're looking at trying to adapt the Knights of the Old Republic with somebody, but they don't know who's tied to that yet either. Where do you stand on all this, Tone?
It's Catherine. I think it's Kathleen Kennedy is the problem, man.
I would agree.
I think she's a huge part of it. She needs to go. It's proven fact. You have somebody like Jon Favreau that knows what he's doing with it. I think you have something there with everybody that's developing The Mandalorian. Tap into that. Try to tie it in. I don't think anything you do at this point can make anybody forget about the most recent trilogies.
Right.
They weren't awful, but they weren't great.
Right.
And the reason why they weren't great is basically, when you really look back at it, The Force Awakens was just basically a reboot of A New Hope. And then The Last Jedi was what it was. But you think about it, like when you look back, it's like, okay, well, in the first one, let's kill off Han Solo. In the second one, let's kill off Luke Skywalker. And in the third one, well, you kind of had no choice because she passed away in real life, but you kill Princess Leia. And it's like, why did you kill the originals? And I don't know. I just disappointed with how it ended too. Like it could have been so much cooler.
Yeah.
And I think the bickering with the directors, I feel like when they first announced it, it was exciting. And they had 3 different directors for all 3 movies, JJ with the first, and then Rian Johnson with the second, and Colin, help me with the last name,
Trevorrow.
Trevorrow, okay. Yeah, I was going to Filippo it. So
though it ended up being J.J. Abrams.
Yeah, because he got bumped, and they're like, JJ needs to come back, and then it just became a tit for tat, like, okay, well, you undid my story, so now I'm going to undo your story. And we all suffered as fans because the movies were kind of meh. Now they can go back and fix these things. That's the joy of Hollywood. You could fix it if you wanted. The best movie I can think of and I wish the series would have just ended with this one, was the X-Men, The Days of Future Past.
Right.
You talk about a movie that went back and wronged the rights, man. That was perfect. You were able to take the old cast, bring them in, but tie it all together with the new cast to push it forward. But unfortunately, they pushed it forward in a complete crappy wrong direction. But here, I digress. But yeah, man, I'm not a fan of it. I'm not a fan of her, I should say. I am a fan of new movies from Taika Waititi. And, Rian Johnson could have his own movies too. That's fine. he kind of tried to build that universe a little bit in the Last Jedi at the end with the little kids with the little Force.
Right.
It was kind of a nod where you knew it was going to go. Just unfortunately, I did not like his version. I did not like his movie very much.
Well, I think
didn't hate it, but I didn't love it.
Yeah, I think the Star Wars side of Disney needs to take a book out of what Marvel's been doing, where, you know, Kevin Feige has a great sense of where everything's going and tying everything together. But at the same time, they give each of the individual filmmakers their own creative voice, their own look, their own feel to each of these movies to make them their own, and they tie really well together. I think that's what they need to do with Star Wars.
Absolutely. And you look at something like Rogue One. Fantastic. Loved it. I'm going to say it. Solo, while it crapped out at theaters, it was a pretty damn good movie. It was fun.
Yeah.
I did too. I wish they didn't recast Han Solo in it, but when you take that element out of your head, that was a fun heist movie. I really enjoyed that one.
Yeah. So we'll see what the future holds for Star Wars. At least in the meantime, we get the TV series. Hopefully they get back to work on the Obi-Wan Kenobi series, which I'm looking forward to. But as far as the movies go, we will see.
Yes.
All right. Well,
all right. See, there's a lot in this episode, right? It's big sandwich.
Yeah,
huge.
Yeah. It's nice to have so much coming out. Well, that does it for movies. Tony, get that button ready, because now we are talking video games.
My name is Groot. There it goes.
Hey man, you want to play some video games? Hadouken! Oh, he's on fire!
Finish.
All right, so back in the world of DC Fandome and some of the things that were revealed through that DC-related video games. After years of teases, rumors, and speculation, Batman Arkham Origins studio WB Games Montreal has finally revealed its next game, and unsurprisingly, The Dark Knight Returns. Sort of. WB Games Montreal's Batman game is officially announced, known as Gotham Knights, set for release in 2021 for PS4, PS5, Xbox One, Xbox Series X, and PC. Shown at DC Fandome, the game will feature 2-player online co-op, 5 boroughs of Gotham City for players to explore, the ability to drive around via Batcycle, and an arsenal of combat and gear that will grow as the game progresses. The debut trailer opened with voiceover describing a disaster in Gotham City, with Bruce Wayne's body seemingly found in the rubble. Among the characters shown are Batgirl, Robin, Nightwing, and the Red Hood. In essence, this game kills off Batman, and you take over one of those 4 characters, or all 4 of those characters, in this sort of Batman Arkham series game. Now, if you remember, WB Montreal did Batman Arkham Origins, which was an okay game. It wasn't anything compared to Arkham City, Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, or Arkham Knight.
Right, yeah, the Rocksteady trilogy.
Exactly, but still a good game in its own right, and this game looks like a hell of a lot of fun. The graphics look amazing, and the fact that you get to take on, playing Red Hood, for instance, or Nightwing, is pretty cool.
I think so too, and the co-op option. The fact that you can play up to 4 players, that's badass. That's something that hasn't been done in the Batman games before. They're normally just straight up, it's Batman, and that's who you play as. This kind of ties into the movie thing where you'd like to see Robin be introduced formally. And I think this is great, man, because you get to play, all 3 variations of, one, Robin, and the other 2 that used to be Robin that went off to be different ones.
Yeah.
And then I think the graphics look sweet. I'm with you. Arkham Origins, while it wasn't the best in them all, but it still was a good game. It was very well done. Graphics were great for that too.
Oh, definitely. And then if you watch the trailer at the end, they reveal that the main antagonists will be the Court of Owls. And so...
Oh, yes.
That's something that, the comic books have been exploring a little bit. The Gotham TV show explored a tiny bit, but to see them in a video game is exciting, and it adds a little bit of a sort of a scary tone to it.
Yeah, it's to be honest with you, for being a big Batman guy, didn't read a whole lot of the comics as kids, just the basics, knew the basic villains. Because I was more of Marvel. I am still more of a Marvel guy. But
well, Court of Owls wasn't introduced until later on. It was not till we were grown adults that Court of Owls became something. And it looks like the main bad guy is going to be a character named Talon, who's obviously part of the Court of Owls and is essentially like an anti-Batman. So very similar in the mystery, the way he works, the intelligence, and then obviously quite deadly.
Yeah, I was going to say the Court of Owls, they did that storyline in Gotham, the TV show, and it was awesome. Yep. It was so well done. Yeah.
Definitely. And then not finally in video game news, but finally for DC Fandome and what they revealed in video games. So during a panel at DC Fandome on Saturday, the main characters for Rocksteady's upcoming game, Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League, were revealed along with the announcement trailer. And so Rocksteady, who did do the Arkham games, Asylum City and Night, this is actually a follow-up to that, but with the Suicide Squad, and obviously centers a little bit more around the Justice League. But the four main characters are Harley Quinn, and that's voiced by a favorite of ours, Tara Strong.
Oh, yeah.
You have
she said hi to us at the Reno Pop Culture Con last year.
She did. You have King Shark, who we've been talking about, and I forgot to mention in the Harley Quinn series, King Shark's in there, voiced by Ron Funches, comedian, hilarious.
So he's voiced by WWE wrestler Samoa Joe in this game.
Ah, interesting. You have Deadshot, aka Floyd Lawton. Do you know who voices him?
Mm-mm.
I don't either. I thought maybe you would.
Yeah.
and then you have...
I only knew Samoa Joe because I was putting together articles for Phoenix before this started, and that's how I saw that.
Gotcha. And then you have Captain Boomerang, also known as Digger Harkness, as the Aussie assassin extraordinaire. And, it looks like it's got the humor of what we kind of expect from the Suicide Squad movie with James Gunn, but obviously the gameplay and the graphics of, that we've come to expect from Rocksteady games.
Yeah, graphics look good, and that trailer's up on our Facebook page too. Kind of at the end, it's they've got Superman, and they're like, beat it, spandex, and then he ends up killing somebody. Well, he turns them basically. He's holding them, and then they turn into ash, which reminded me of Endgame, just the way the ash was going. Yeah. So Superman's obviously a different version, or something's not right with them. And it's funny because then they're staring, and they're like, "Oh, who are we supposed to kill?" And Boomerang looks up and says, "Off," and then they bleep the F word, and then it goes to the logo where it says Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League, and then you hear the Boomerang come back and hit Superman in the head. He goes, "Oh, I think I made a mistake." So,
yeah, it looks good. It looks funny. It looks like Brainiac is going to be the main villain, obviously, with that giant skull tentacle thing that Brainiac goes flying around in. But just like Gotham Knights, is that what it's called? Yeah, Gotham Knights.
Yeah.
This one will be up to 4-player co-op as well.
Oh, it's going to be awesome, man. They both look great, so bring it on, man.
Yeah.
The more games, like, I know we're just about out of time because it's a lot, but it's the same thing, man. Even Marvel is finally making good games based off that beta, so.
Yeah, Marvel's Avengers beta, the graphics are great, the gameplay is fun. Just a quick review. Obviously, we've both played a little bit of it, and that's a game I'm looking forward to owning.
Yeah, me too. That comes out September 4th. You can pick that up, and
it's right around the corner.
Great. Yeah, right around there. If you want to download the beta, it's available now, and it's well worth your time. I actually have played one level of it. Surprisingly, I fit a level in, and I did enjoy it immensely.
Yeah, you get to take on Taskmaster in that level, and it's fun. It's it shows that it provides a little bit of a challenge, even though I was on easy mode, and you have to learn the patterns and the responses, and there's a lot of buttons you got to figure out with the game, but I think with enough playing of it, it'll come as sort of second nature.
Yep. And I don't know if it's just because I gotten lazy at my old age, but I like playing games on easy now just so I can get through the story.
Exactly.
And if it's super good, maybe I'll go back on the next level. But typically, man, I had all those challenges as a little kid with the old school Nintendo, man. F that. I just want to play through the game, you know?
I'm right there with you. All right. And then finally, last story of the show, last story of video game news, and it is a departure from the DC Fandome stuff. It wouldn't be video games without some Nintendo news. Well, the Nintendo Switch will be getting a pair of new controllers based on Mario. The first of these
Mario.
The first of these controllers comes from Power A, a company that should be familiar to many Switch owners. Power A has released a number of officially licensed controllers throughout the system's lifespan. The newest enhanced wireless controller will feature a red coloration and golden M made up of the franchise's various items and power-ups. The second comes from Hori, H-O-R-I, and is actually targeted towards younger players. The Hori Pad Mini is a smaller controller that should be perfect for those with smaller hands. And I'm sure Tony will post images up of those. Now, one thing sort of to go hand in hand with this is that this year marks the 35th anniversary of Super Mario Bros. Last month saw the release of Paper Mario, the Origami King, but rumors have been swirling about another Mario game set to release this year. The game will apparently be a compilation of the 3D Mario classics Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy. As of this article, Nintendo has not made any kind of official announcement, but earlier this month, the company released a new image of Mario lounging on the beach. It's possible that the image was just Nintendo's way of celebrating summer, but many fans immediately looked at it as a tease for Super Mario Sunshine's return. And that's a game I'm looking forward to.
Oh, yeah. I think it's coming, man. I've been watching this closely because I'm excited about it. Because I didn't keep the GameCube. I got rid of the GameCube, so I don't have Sunshine anymore. I don't have a 64 anymore. I could play an emulated version of Mario 64, but it's a kind of blocky and choppy. It's not as good. I did pick up Mario Galaxy for $2 at a thrift store. I could play on the Wii U, and that game is really good. And I would love to see those get new releases because they're talking of releasing those. And I'm hoping they squeeze Mario Galaxy 2 on there as well. I didn't get a chance to play that one.
That would be good.
And then Super Mario Land 3D, which was on the Switch, is rumored to be coming out actually in September. And tomorrow is a rumored Nintendo Direct where they'll announce all this. So as of this recording, they haven't announced it, but maybe by the next show, we might be talking about it. I hope.
Yeah, and we'll post anything on the Facebook page as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But man, what a good show. It was a little long, not long in the tooth. That's not right because I didn't feel like it went that long, but it has gone a good length.
Yeah, a lot to cover. But ultimately, it's getting to that point where
words are always hard, brother.
Our brains are becoming mush. But we want to thank you guys, the listeners, the watchers, for supporting us. We get a great response from every episode that we do, even though they're not as frequent as we would like. Of course, as the world gets back to normal, that'll become more and more frequent. But our hope is that our next episode will come out in the next 2 weeks or so. So make sure you guys stay tuned then and let us know what you think. As always, chime in on our Facebook, Instagram, or YouTube pages. And that's all I got, Tone. Any words of wisdom before we go?
Words of wisdom. Nope, not really. I had nothing planned for this one. It's usually something. So I would just say thank you for tuning in. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and also watch the Phoenix Show. And we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
All right, Tone, go ahead and play us out.
I am hasta la vista, baby.
That's it, man. Game over, man. It's game over.
Woo!
Yowie wowie.
Mommy, where's Fluffy?
Goodbye.